How's it going, guys? This is Gas and welcome to another video about Three Houses. This time we're going to be talking about the Golden Deer, and I'm going to be explaining my first impressions of the 8 students and who are my favorite from least favorite to most favorite. And just because someone on this list is number 8 doesn't mean they're the worst, it just means they don't personally appeal to me as the other students do higher up on the list. Let's get started with the bios. Claude. Full name, Claude Von Regan. He's the heir to the renowned Regan family, which heads the Leicester Alliance, a new power formed by the nobility. Serves as the house leader of the Golden Deer. While he's memorable for his sociable smile and easygoing attitude, he also harbors a cunning side, calling himself someone unable to trust. Personal skill, Alliance Bloodline. Boosts users' experience gain by 1.2. And as far as assets go, we know that he has assets in Bow and Authority, but his flaws currently aren't known yet. Talk about a catch right from the get-go. From the very beginning of the trailer, Claude struck me as a very unique character instantly. The first dark-skinned lord in the series and the first bow lord as well, but also the way he carries himself, his expression, and his personality. And as far as mainline Fire Emblem lords go, the closest comparison I can really think of is Hector because of his own cavalier approach to things. That said, his cunning side and self-ascribed untrustworthiness is suspicious though. Is he a sociopath or something? Hopefully he doesn't do anything too scarring to his buddy Dimitri. In all seriousness, he leaves a remarkably good impression, and his time skip makeover doubled down on that. We know from Gen 2 that he presumably becomes the leader of the Leicester Alliance, a league of nobles which govern certain territories like the Lycian League from Fire Emblem 7, but you can tell that despite this, he's still calling Byleth Teach despite the 5-year gap. With the house leader out of the way, let's talk about the other Golden Deer members. Lorenz. Full name Lorenz Herman Glueck, the heir of Count Glueckester's family. He's a serious fellow despite his snobbishness, and he's aware of his pride and responsibility as a noble. Apparently, he's been approaching several females in the monastery, with limited success. Personal skill, prestigious noble. When a battalion is deployed, damage dealt +2. Okay, I know it's a huge meme and I know he gets a great makeover in Gen 2, but that is the most sorry haircut I ever seen. Personality-wise, and this came to me as I was writing this, Lorenz strikes me as the spiritual successor of Johann. Ah, yet another Fire Emblem 4 inspiration. We get many womanizer or hopelessly romantic characters in Fire Emblem, but not often are they of regal status. Unlike him, who literally just abandons his family and kingdom to try to hook up with Larcey, Lorenz takes his duties a lot more seriously. Prestigious Noble is also a cool personal, since, like Hubert, lends itself to one of the game's new mechanics. He doesn't currently have any listed assets or flaws, but we have seen screenshots of him as a cavalier, which tracks, if he's trying to swoon the ladies. Total Johann move. Hilda. Full name Hilda Valentin Goneril, the only daughter of Duke Goneril. Since she was pampered by her father and older brother, she tends to slack off, and is good at acting cute and buttering people up. She has an easygoing and frivolous manner, and is a typical quote-unquote nobleman's daughter, adores fashionable and glamorous things. Personal skill is plead. When an adjacent male ally enters the battle, allies damage dealt +3. Hilda is a spoiled princess. She seems to behave a bit like Claude in that they're both easygoing, and her personal skill may as well just be called flirt instead, although it is actually a pretty good one. Hilda is also featured in the advice box mechanic in the Treehouse demo, where she tells Byleth that she needs to write a letter to her brother to let him know how she's doing, but has nothing to write about, and also how it's too much work to go through with it. Oof, talk about lazy. Even I'm not that bad. She also has assets in Sword and Axe, but flaws in Faith and Authority. Raphael. Full name Raphael Kerstin, the son of a merchant from Leicester. Both his parents died in an incident, and he's been through a lot. But he's an optimistic fellow who's only concerned about what's on the menu and his daily muscle building to become an exemplary knight. That said, he doesn't seem interested in lectures. Personal skill, Scavenge. User has a luck % chance to restore 10% HP at the start of each turn. Despite his cheery disposition, he's been through the ringer from an early age. I won't spoil what happened to his parents in case you're new to the channel, but it's pretty terrible. Despite this though, he's just out here doing his best. I can relate to him as well, because I also like building muscle and eating protein, bro. And I also don't like school that much. He has assets in axes and fighting, and while he has no listed flaws yet, I can't imagine reason and faith are going to be the things he's good at. His personal skill is the exact same as Valuria's, so I hope he has a good base luck stat, otherwise it won't be a very consistent skill in the early game. Lysithea. Full name Lysithea von Cordelia. The eldest daughter of Count Cordelia's family. She's the youngest student enrolled this year at 15 years of age. She's a child prodigy who excels at magic, yet she's a hard worker who doesn't make a fuss about her talent. Despite that, she still has a childish side, not wanting to be seen as a child and having a fear of ghosts. Personal skill, prodigy. Experience points towards skill levels earned during battles is doubled. I like how her name is likely a reference to Cordelia, who has a reputation for being Miss Perfect. She wants to be treated like a grown-up, but also has a fear of ghosts. Ah yes, anyone who is inspired by Riken/Hayatou is going to make me a fan. She seems to be the first student so far who actually likes learning at the Officers Academy. Given that her personal skill activates during battle, she's going to want to be tearing enemies down directly from the front lines. I have a feeling that she's going to be this game's nuke. Ignatz. Full name Ignatz Victor, the second son of a merchant family within the Leicester Alliance. His older brother is set to take over the family business, so his parents wished for him to enter the Officers Academy. Although deep down there are other things he'd rather be doing. He's a kind-hearted person who loves beautiful natural scenery and art. Personal skill, keen observation. Hit rate plus 20. Ignatz is a pleasant-looking gentleman with a funny haircut, par for the course for most of the Golden Deer boys so far. He has assets in sword and bow, and his personal skill is definitely going to pay off in the long run once enemies get more speed stats and are taking cover over terrain. Ignatz is the art kid in the group. You know the one, likes to paint and has a hidden talent in like acoustic guitar or something. Okay, I'm pretty much just describing my work buddy, but still, I'm curious to find out what these other things are that he'd like to be doing. I wonder if his time skip globe is going to have him with an afro, channeling his inner Bob Ross. Marion. Full name Marion Vaughan Edmund, the adopted daughter of the Earl of the remote Edmund territory. She tends not to associate with others, so there are many who have yet to hear her voice. She adores birds and animals and can talk very openly to them. She is extremely devout and offers prayers to the goddess every day. Personal skill, animal lover. When adjacent to a horseback or flying ally, restores 20% HP at the start of turn. Marion is quite intriguing. As the adopted daughter of the Earl of Edmund, she likely does not bear any minor crest. That said, I wonder if she has a special connection to Edelgard, since the crest of Marion is seen within the bone axe that she wields. I'm curious if these two have, or will have, any kind of relationship. Painfully shy, she instead communicates with animals. Oh. Her personal skill doubles down on this by giving her a whopping 20% HP back if she's next to mounted units. She has no assets listed, but because of her personality, I'm guessing that she'll have assets in cavalry and flying, topping that with her likely asset in faith, and we've got a good old troubadour on our hands. Leone. Full name Leone Pinelli, a hunter's daughter from Samhain within the Alliance. To become a money-making mercenary, she entered the Officers Academy with money loaned from her village. She trains hard and lives frugally every day, so she can repay her village's money and goodwill. She calls Geralt, who motivated her to become a mercenary, her master and claims that she's his top student. Personal skill, hates to lose. When adjacent to a male ally, damage dealt to foe is +2, damage received from foe -2. Samhain is within Leicester, but it's actually not located anywhere on the map, probably since it's a tiny village. She's a tough cookie. I like her attitude and her look, and honestly she sort of reminds me of myself. Her personal skill, hates to lose, is very similar to Soleil's sisterhood from Fire Emblem Fates. Except instead of being supported by a female ally, Leone just needs to be next to a male ally. In my experience, these types of skills are helpful in the early game since damage output is lower, and also in clutch situations where you need to just get that one bit more of might to finish an enemy off. Now for my list of least favorite to most favorite Golden Deer students. Like before, these are my impressions from the limited information we have about them so far. Number 8 doesn't mean they're bad, they just don't strike me as characters that I find very interesting right off the bat. Let's get started with number 8. Hilda. Not really a fan of Hilda right now. I kind of feel like she has no redeeming qualities, like at all. She's spoiled, lazy, and likes to butter people up. Okay. Her design feels a little uninspired compared to everyone else. It's nothing we haven't really seen before. I mean, maybe she's a kind of comedy relief character with very, very charming and funny writing or something, but as it stands now, it's not really sticking. Number 7. Lysithea. The gap between number 7 and like number 3 is very small, but out of the next 7, I'm gonna have to place the Prodigy here. This was actually kinda tough, because I really like how closely she acts like Hayatou, who is one of my more favorite characters from Fates. Maybe it's because of the randomizer memes, but still. I appreciate her humbleness and her work ethic as well, which makes me feel like it's quite a contrast between her and Hilda. And she's no doubt going to be a powerhouse unit, being able to quickly gain skill levels during combat. Number 6. Leone. Leone certainly has a personality that I can relate to, and if you know who my favorite character is, you know that I'm partial to mercenary characters, or in this case, mercenaries 2B. Unlike Hilda, I'm gonna bring her up again, who kind of seems like she doesn't want to be here, Leone is here because her family allowed her to be, and she wants to make the most of the opportunity she has at the academy. And as for her personal skill, maybe I'm projecting a little bit, but as a similarly super duper competitive person myself, at an unreasonable and dangerous level sometimes, I'm hoping that her competitiveness gets characterized in a more realistic way than someone like Severo, whose competitiveness was a little too much for me. Maybe she needs to prove her worth to prove herself that her village's money was going to a good place. Number 5. Raphael. Even though Raphael is a total catch and I can totally respect his interests, I wish I had more to go with right now. This might sound a little mean, but having a tragic backstory will definitely score points in the depth department, but being around the series for so long, I'd be more interested to see what he does with it in the future. I know he's a fan favorite and I have no doubt that he'll become one of mine as well, but I just find the others in this list are giving me a little bit more to look forward to. Number 4. Lorenz. He is eye-catching to say the least. I ranked him this high up because I feel like he's got a lot of details about him going on from the get-go. Not only is he clearly meme potential, and not so great with the ladies, but he does take his duties seriously. He's kind of the ugly duckling in the group, but the cool thing about Gen 2 is that we see if he gets it together by then. You can tell he has a lot of growing up to do, even though he already recognizes his responsibility as a noble, which is a good thing. I had a quick glimpse of his Gen 2 makeover and dang, it is working for him. His personal skill is also cool, and I can imagine it being one of the more useful ones right off the bat. Number 3. Ignatz! Gus Griswold! I feel like we're not talking about the homie Iggy enough. I genuinely think that his personal skill is going to be one of the more long-term useful ones in the game, and I hope that he has a good strength stat to boot. I also hope that snipers in this game have increased crit, because all that stuff together stacks up to make quick work of bosses. I find his character design truly one of the more unique ones in the game right now. I hope he gets more of an adult haircut in Gen 2 though. When I was in university, I basically went to school for sports and I wasn't really there to learn for my first few years. At the same time, I know a lot of college kids who just go to school because their parents want them to. Iggy strikes me as that young student who's here because he has to be, but has the smarts to deal with it even though he doesn't really want to be there right now. So I'm rooting for this guy. Pursue your dreams, Big Nats. Number 2. Claude. At the Anime North 2019 panel, when we asked the crowd who their favorite house was, it was overwhelmingly the Golden Deer, and no doubt Claude's uniqueness played a massive role. I just love this guy's personality and uniqueness as a lord of the series. Again, this personality for a lord very rarely comes up, with Hector being pretty much the closest comparison. No, Holmes from Terran Saga doesn't count. But not only that, he's a bow lord. Like, that's pretty cool. Early game archers have definitely improved their game since Fates, so I'm hoping that Claude's bow skills are going to be useful. As much as I love the inclusion, early game archers are hard to get done right in my opinion. And him being described as cunning and untrustworthy has to be some kind of foreshadowing, right? Right? Or, I don't know, maybe he just likes to pull pranks on his friends. I know that I made it a rule not to use Gen 2 looks or personality in my evaluation here, and I didn't for Claude, but on that topic, man! At first I wasn't really sold on his sideburns, but now they're coming around on me. I just want to see what kind of role him the Lester Alliance is going to play in the big war in Gen 2. Number 1. Marion. Marion is just a sweetheart. She's a healer who I just want to protect. I'm weirdly partial to cleric type characters, and by that I mean, okay, it's just Mulder, and Natasha, and Renault, and Yoder. Okay, wow, I guess I really do like healer characters, but Marion is just a girl who you want to help out. I like how they mention how her personality pretty much does a 180 when she's around her animal friends. Combine that with her intrigue behind Edmund, and she starts hitting the right notes for me. I bet she would love Zeke too. Again guys, these are just my impressions. No character seems bad to me, and each one in the house seems like they're oozing with personality and aren't going to be relying on one-off tropes or gimmicks. I'm hoping that these characters are fleshed out through their supports and their interactions with Byleth. Anyway, like I asked before, if you had to make an impressions list for the 8 Black Eagles, what would the impressions list for the 8 Golden Deer look like? Please leave a like and let me know what you think of this video down below. If you're new to the channel, then go ahead and subscribe for more content like this. And with that all said, see you guys next time. Deuces.